What if I told you that
This
many of the medicines
unassuming
in your
garden
cabinet
herb,
today
known as
came from Native
feverfew,
American
has been
healers who
recognized
discovered
for
them
its medicinal
centuries
value.
ago? From the aspirin you take for headaches to treatments for cancer, indigenous peoples of North America possessed an encyclopedic knowledge of medicinal plants that modern science is only now beginning to fully understand and validate. For thousands of years, Native American medicine people served as the pharmacists, doctors, and chemists of their communities. They didn't have laboratories or clinical trials, yet through careful observation, experimentation, and knowledge passed down through generations, they identified hundreds of plants with genuine therapeutic properties. Their discoveries weren't based on superstition or luck. They were the result of sophisticated scientific thinking applied over millennia. Today, we're going to explore the fascinating journey of Native American herbal remedies that made their way into modern medicine. You'll discover which plants they used, what conditions they treated, and how modern pharmaceutical companies have validated and even profited from this ancient wisdom. Some of these remedies you can still use today, while others have been transformed into the drugs millions of people rely on. Watch until the end because I'll reveal a powerful Native American remedy that recent studies show may be more effective than some prescription medications, and it's probably growing in your backyard right now. Let's dive into this incredible story of ancient wisdom meeting modern science.
The white willow has long been revered by the Apache people, who understood its healing properties centuries ago.
Willow bark, the original aspirin. Long before aspirin became the most widely used drug in the world, Native Americans were using willow bark to treat pain, fever, and inflammation. Various tribes across North America, from the Cherokee in the southeast to the Ojibwe in the Great Lakes region, independently discovered the medicinal properties of willow trees. The healers would harvest the inner bark of willow trees, particularly white willow and black willow. They knew that spring was the best time to collect it when the sap was flowing and the concentration of active compounds was highest. The bark would be carefully stripped, dried, and then prepared in several ways depending on the condition being treated. For headaches and general pain, they would make a tea by steeping the dried bark in hot water. For fever, they would create a stronger decoction by boiling the bark for an extended period. For inflammation and swelling, they would make a poultice by grinding the bark into a paste and applying it directly to the affected area. What the Native Americans discovered through centuries of observation was that willow bark contains a compound called salicin. When consumed, the body converts salicin into salicylic acid, which has powerful pain-relieving and anti-inflammatory properties. In the 1800s, European chemists finally isolated this compound and created a synthetic version, acetylsalicylic acid, which we know today as aspirin. The pharmaceutical company Bayer trademarked aspirin in 1899 and made billions from it. Yet the knowledge that made it possible came directly from indigenous peoples who had been using it successfully for thousands of years. Today, aspirin remains one of the most important drugs in medicine, used not just for pain but also to prevent heart attacks and strokes. But here's something remarkable. Some herbalists argue that the natural willow bark tea is actually superior to synthetic aspirin in certain ways. While aspirin can cause stomach irritation and ulcers, willow bark contains other compounds that protect the stomach lining. It's a perfect example of nature's wisdom. The plant doesn't just contain the active ingredient, it also contains protective compounds that reduce side effects.
For centuries, the roots of the vibrant Echinacea plant have been central to traditional medicine here on the prairie.
Echinacea, the immune system booster. If you've ever taken echinacea during cold and flu season, you're using a remedy that the Plains Indians, particularly the Lakota, Cheyenne, and Comanche, relied on for centuries. Echinacea, commonly known as purple coneflower, was one of the most widely used medicinal plants in Native American healing traditions. The Plains tribes considered echinacea a powerful medicine for treating infections, wounds, and snake bites. They would use different parts of the plant for different purposes. The roots were considered the most potent and were the primary part used medicinally. Healers would dig up the roots in the fall after the plant had stored its energy, then clean, dry, and prepare them in various ways. For infections and to boost the body's defenses, they would chew the fresh root or make a tea from the dried root. The taste was distinctive, slightly bitter with a tingling sensation on the tongue and throat that they recognized as a sign of the plant's potency. For wounds and burns, they would make a poultice from mashed roots and apply it directly to the injury. The antiseptic properties would help prevent infection while promoting healing. For snake bites, which were a serious concern on the plains, they would quickly apply a poultice of mashed Echinacea root to draw out the venom and reduce swelling. While we now know this wouldn't actually remove venom, the anti-inflammatory properties would reduce the body's reaction and the pain. Modern scientific research has validated many of these traditional uses. Studies have shown that Echinacea contains compounds called alkamides, polysaccharides, and glycoproteins that genuinely stimulate the immune system. It increases the production of white blood cells, enhances the activity of immune cells, and has antiviral and antibacterial properties. Today, Echinacea is one of the best-selling herbal supplements in the world, with a global market worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Clinical trials have shown that taking Echinacea at the first sign of a cold can reduce the duration and severity of symptoms. It's particularly effective when taken as a prevention during cold and flu season. What's fascinating is that modern herbalists still prepare Echinacea much the way Native Americans did, as teas, tinctures, and topical applications. The pharmaceutical industry has tried to isolate individual compounds from Echinacea to create drugs, but they've found that the whole plant extract works better than any single isolated compound. Once again, the ancient wisdom proves that nature's complexity is often superior to our attempts to simplify it. Goldenseal, the powerful antibiotic. Hidden in the forests of the eastern United States, grows a plant that the Cherokee called it yellow root, and considered it one of their most powerful medicines. Goldenseal, with its distinctive yellow rhizome, was used to treat everything from digestive issues to skin infections, and modern science has discovered it contains compounds that rival synthetic antibiotics. The Cherokee, Iroquois, and other eastern tribes used goldenseal extensively. They would harvest the bright yellow roots in the fall, recognizing that the intense color indicated high concentrations of the active compounds. The root would be cleaned, dried, and powdered, or used fresh depending on the application. For digestive problems like diarrhea and stomach inflammation, they would make a bitter tea from the powdered root. The tea was so bitter that it required a strong constitution to drink, but its effectiveness made it worth the unpleasant taste. For mouth sores and gum infections, they would make a stronger decoction and use it as a mouthwash. The antimicrobial properties would quickly reduce infection and promote healing. For skin infections, cuts, and wounds, they would make a paste from the powdered root mixed with water or bear grease and apply it as a poultice. For eye infections, which were common and could lead to blindness, they would make a very dilute solution and use it as an eye wash, a practice that required great skill and knowledge to do safely. The secret to Goldenseal's power lies in two alkaloid compounds, berberine and hydrostine. Berberine, the primary active ingredient, has been extensively studied by modern medicine and found to have remarkable properties. It's antibacterial, antifungal, antiparasitic, and anti-inflammatory. Research has shown it's effective against a wide range of harmful bacteria, including some that have become resistant to conventional antibiotics. But berberine does even more than fight infections. Recent studies have discovered it can help regulate blood sugar levels, making it useful for people with diabetes or prediabetes. It can lower cholesterol and triglycerides, potentially preventing heart disease. Some research even suggests it may help with weight loss and have anti-cancer properties. Today, goldenseal is endangered in the wild due to overharvesting, which is tragic considering its value. Most goldenseal supplements now come from cultivated sources. It remains one of the top-selling herbal remedies in North America, used for immune support, digestive health, and fighting infections. Here's the controversial part. Some Native American healers warn that goldenseal has been overused and misused by the mainstream herbal industry. They point out that traditional use was selective and specific. It wasn't taken daily as a tonic, but used strategically for acute conditions. Modern research supports this wisdom, showing that long-term use of high doses of berberine can disrupt beneficial gut bacteria and may have other side effects.
This small amount should help your digestion.
Thank you, Elder. How often should I drink it?
Once a day.
Cascara Sagrada, from sacred bark to pharmaceutical. The Pacific Northwest tribes had a name for it that Spanish missionaries translated as sacred bark, and for good reason. This was their go-to remedy for one of humanity's most common and uncomfortable problems: constipation. Cascara sagrada, the bark of the buckthorn tree, became so valuable that it launched an entire pharmaceutical industry. The indigenous peoples of the Pacific coast, including the Chinook, Salish, and Quinault, discovered that the bark of a particular buckthorn species had powerful laxative properties. But they also learned something crucial. Fresh bark was too strong and could cause severe cramping and diarrhea. The bark had to be aged for at least a year before it was safe to use. This knowledge demonstrates the sophistication of Native American medicine. Through trial and error over generations, they discovered that aging the bark reduced certain harsh compounds while preserving the beneficial ones. They would harvest strips of bark, dry them, and store them for a year or more before preparing them as medicine. When properly aged, the bark would be boiled to make a bitter tea. The dose was carefully controlled. Too little and it wouldn't work, too much and it would cause uncomfortable cramping. Healers learned to adjust the dosage based on the person's size, age, and the severity of their constipation. The active compounds in Cascara are called anthraquinone glycosides. These compounds stimulate the intestines to contract and move waste through the digestive system. They also increase the amount of water in the intestines, softening the stool and making it easier to pass. In the late 1800s, pharmaceutical companies recognized the value of Cascara and began harvesting it on a massive commercial scale in the Pacific Northwest. It became one of the most popular laxatives in the world and was included in numerous over-the-counter products. For decades, Cascara sagrada was the active ingredient in many commercial laxatives until synthetic alternatives were developed. Even today, derivatives of the compounds found in Cascara are used in some laxative medications. The herb itself remains available, though less common than in the past. Modern herbalists still recommend aged Cascara bark for occasional constipation, particularly for people who prefer natural remedies over synthetic drugs.
Emerging in early spring, the bloodroot's distinctive sap, visible here,
Bloodroot from oral care to cancer research. When European settlers first arrived in North America and suffered from terrible dental problems, Native Americans introduced them to a plant with bright red sap that could clean teeth, treat gum disease, and ease dental pain. Bloodroot, named for its distinctive red juice, was a staple of indigenous oral care and has led to surprising modern applications. The Cherokee, Iroquois, and other eastern tribes used bloodroot extensively. They would carefully harvest the rhizome, which when cut would bleed a striking red-orange sap. This sap contained powerful compounds that they recognized as medicinal. For dental health, they would chew small pieces of the root or use the diluted juice as a mouthwash. The antimicrobial properties would kill bacteria that cause tooth decay and gum disease. They also used it to treat fungal infections in the mouth like thrush. For toothaches, they would apply small amounts directly to the affected tooth for pain relief. Beyond oral care, they used bloodroot topically for skin conditions, warts, and even as a dye for baskets and clothing. But they were very careful with dosage. They knew that bloodroot was powerful and potentially toxic if used incorrectly. The active compound in bloodroot is sanguinarine, an alkaloid with remarkable properties. Modern research has confirmed that sanguinarine has strong antimicrobial effects, particularly against the bacteria that cause dental plaque and gum disease. This led to its inclusion in some commercial toothpastes and mouthwashes in the 1980s and 1990s. But here's where the story gets even more interesting. Researchers discovered that sanguinarine and related compounds in bloodroot have anti-cancer properties. Laboratory studies showed it could kill cancer cells while leaving healthy cells relatively unharmed. This led to research into bloodroot extract as a potential cancer treatment, particularly for skin cancers. However, this is also where controversy arose. Some alternative medicine practitioners began promoting bloodroot paste as a cancer cure, particularly for skin cancers. While some patients reported success, others experienced severe tissue damage, scarring, and in some cases, the cancer actually spread. The FDA has warned against using bloodroot paste for cancer treatment outside of proper medical supervision. This highlights an important lesson. Just because something is natural and has medicinal properties doesn't mean it's safe for self-treatment, especially for serious conditions like cancer. Native American healers spent lifetimes learning proper preparation, dosing, and application of powerful plants like bloodroot. They understood both the benefits and the dangers. Today, bloodroot extract is still used in some dental products, though more regulated than in the past. Researchers continue to study its compounds for potential pharmaceutical applications, particularly in cancer research. It's a perfect example of how Native American plant knowledge continues to inspire modern medicine, even as we learn to use these powerful plants more safely and effectively.
The distinctive rough bark hides the secret within, a mucilaginous inner layer.
Slippery elm, the gentle healer. Sometimes the most powerful medicines are the gentlest ones. Slippery elm, a tree native to eastern North America, provided indigenous peoples with a remedy so safe and soothing that it could be given to infants, pregnant women, and the elderly without concern. Today, it remains one of the most trusted herbal remedies for digestive and respiratory problems. The Iroquois, Cherokee, and other tribes discovered that the inner bark of the slippery elm tree contained a substance that became slippery and mucilaginous when mixed with water. They would harvest the inner bark in spring, dry it, and grind it into a fine powder that could be stored for long periods. For digestive problems, upset stomach, diarrhea, inflammation of the intestines, they would mix the powder with water to create a gel-like substance and consume it. The slippery elm would coat the entire digestive tract, soothing inflammation, protecting irritated tissues, and promoting healing. It was gentle enough to give to children with stomach problems and to elderly people whose digestion had become sensitive. For sore throats, coughs, and respiratory infections, they would make a tea from the bark and sip it slowly. The mucilage would coat the throat, reducing pain and irritation while the healing compounds in the bark fought infection. For severe coughs, they would make a thick syrup by boiling the bark with honey or maple syrup. For external wounds, burns, and skin inflammation, they would mix the powder with water to make a poultice. The mucilage would protect the wound, keep it moist for optimal healing, and prevent infection. For boils and abscesses, they would make a hot poultice to draw out the infection. The secret to slippery elm's effectiveness is its high content of mucilage, complex polysaccharides that become gel-like when mixed with water. This mucilage has several beneficial properties. It coats and protects irritated tissues, reduces inflammation, promotes healing, and has mild nutritional value. Modern research has validated these traditional uses. Studies show that slippery elm can help with various digestive disorders, including irritable bowel syndrome, inflammatory bowel disease, acid reflux, and gastritis. It's approved by the FDA as a safe and effective digestive aid. Many people with chronic digestive issues find relief with slippery elm when other remedies have failed. What's remarkable is that slippery elm is still prepared and used in much the same way Native Americans used it. It's available as a powder that can be mixed into water, tea, or food. Some companies make lozenges for sore throats, continuing the traditional use for respiratory problems. Slippery elm represents a perfect example of gentle, effective herbal medicine. It has virtually no side effects, can be used long-term, and works through supporting the body's own healing processes rather than forcing a particular effect. It's a testament to the wisdom of choosing the right remedy for the condition. Not everything needs to be powerful and dramatic to be effective.
We must only take what we need and always give thanks to the plant. This is how we respect the medicine.
Black Cohosh women's medicine. For thousands of years, Native American women had a secret for managing the challenges of menstruation, childbirth, and menopause. Black Cohosh, a plant native to eastern North American forests, was so valuable for women's health that knowledge of its use was carefully passed from grandmother to mother to daughter through generations. The Cherokee, Iroquois, and Algonquin tribes recognized Black Cohosh as a powerful medicine for women's reproductive health. The root was the part used medicinally, harvested in the fall when it had accumulated the most medicinal compounds. The root would be cleaned, dried, and prepared as a tea, tincture, or powder. For menstrual cramps and irregular periods, women would take small amounts of Black Cohosh tea. The plant's compounds would help relax the uterine muscles, reducing cramping and discomfort. For difficult or prolonged labor, midwives would administer Black Cohosh to help stimulate contractions and ease the birthing process. It was also used after childbirth to help expel the placenta and reduce bleeding. But perhaps most importantly, older women used Black Cohosh to ease the symptoms of menopause, hot flashes, night sweats, mood swings, and sleep disturbances. At a time of life that many cultures viewed as an ending, Native American women had a plant ally that helped them transition more comfortably through this natural change. Beyond reproductive health, black cohosh was also used for arthritis, muscle pain, and nervous system conditions. Some tribes used it for snake bites and as a general tonic for overall health. Modern science has extensively studied black cohosh, particularly for menopausal symptoms. Multiple clinical trials have shown that black cohosh extract can significantly reduce hot flashes and other menopausal symptoms. Some studies suggest it may be as effective as hormone replacement therapy for some women, but without the associated risks. The active compounds in black cohosh include triterpene glycosides, which may influence serotonin receptors and have estrogen-like effects, though the exact mechanisms are still being researched. What's clear is that millions of women around the world have found relief with black cohosh where other treatments have failed or weren't suitable. Today, black cohosh is one of the most popular herbal supplements for women's health, with a market worth hundreds of millions of dollars. It's included in numerous products specifically formulated for menopausal support. European doctors commonly prescribe black cohosh extract for menopausal symptoms, and it's approved for this use in Germany, where herbal medicine is more integrated into mainstream healthcare. This is a powerful example of how Native American women's traditional medicine has benefited women worldwide. For generations, indigenous healers understood something that modern medicine is only now fully appreciating: that natural plant compounds can effectively address women's health concerns with fewer side effects than synthetic alternatives.
Friday. This unassuming garden herb, known as Feverfew, has been recognized for its medicinal value for generations.
Feverfew, the migraine miracle. Imagine suffering from debilitating migraines in a time before pain medications existed. Native Americans had a solution that modern science has proven remarkably effective: a plant called Feverfew that's now recommended by neurologists worldwide for preventing migraines. While Feverfew is native to Europe and was brought to North America, several Native American tribes quickly adopted it and incorporated it into their healing practices, particularly the Cherokee and Mohegan. They recognized its value for treating what they called head sickness, severe headaches that we now know as migraines. The traditional preparation involved using the leaves, either fresh or dried. For acute headaches, they would chew fresh leaves, despite the bitter taste. For prevention of recurring headaches, they would make a tea from dried leaves and drink it daily. They also used Feverfew for fever, hence the name, inflammation, and women's reproductive issues. What native healers discovered through observation was that Feverfew worked best when used consistently over time, rather than just when a headache struck. This was a sophisticated understanding of preventive medicine, using plants not just to treat symptoms, but to prevent them from occurring in the first place. The active compound in Feverfew is parthenolide, along with various other beneficial compounds. Modern research has shown that parthenolide has several mechanisms of action. It inhibits the release of inflammatory substances in the brain that trigger migraines. It prevents the constriction and dilation of blood vessels that cause migraine pain, and it has anti-inflammatory effects throughout the body. Multiple clinical trials have confirmed that taking Feverfew daily can significantly reduce the frequency and severity of migraines. Some studies show a reduction of up to 70% in migraine frequency for regular users. This has led neurologists and headache specialists to recommend Feverfew as a first-line preventive treatment for chronic migraines, often before prescribing pharmaceutical medications. What's particularly interesting is that Feverfew is most effective when used as the whole plant extract rather than isolated parthenolide. Once again, we see that nature's complexity, the combination of multiple compounds working together, is often superior to isolated single ingredients. Today, Feverfew is available as capsules, tablets, and tinctures, standardized to contain specific amounts of parthenolide. Many migraine sufferers who couldn't tolerate prescription preventive medications or who prefer natural remedies have found significant relief with Feverfew.
The vibrant red cranberry has sustained indigenous communities for centuries. Today, scientific study confirms
Cranberry from UTI prevention to modern science. Long before cranberry juice became a staple in grocery stores, Native Americans of the Northeast understood that these tart red berries had powerful medicinal properties, particularly for urinary health. The Wampanoag, Algonquin, and other tribes used cranberries not just as food but as medicine, and modern science has validated their wisdom. Native Americans used cranberries in multiple ways. Fresh berries were eaten or crushed into a mash. For medicinal purposes, they would make a tea from the leaves and berries for urinary tract problems. They also used cranberry poultices for wounds, recognizing that the berries had antimicrobial properties that could prevent infection. The berries were particularly valued for treating bladder and urinary tract issues. Women who experienced frequent urinary problems would consume cranberries regularly, either fresh, dried, or as a tea. This preventive approach showed a sophisticated understanding of how certain foods could maintain health rather than just treat disease. Modern science has extensively studied cranberries and discovered the mechanism behind their effectiveness. Cranberries contain compounds called proanthocyanidins, PACs, that prevent bacteria, particularly E. coli, from adhering to the walls of the urinary tract. If the bacteria can't stick, they can't establish an infection and are simply flushed out with urine. Numerous clinical studies have confirmed that regular consumption of cranberry products can significantly reduce the recurrence of urinary tract infections, particularly in women who are prone to frequent UTIs. Some studies show up to a 35% reduction in UTI recurrence with daily cranberry consumption. But cranberries offer benefits beyond urinary health. Research has shown they have powerful antioxidant properties. They may help prevent certain types of cancer. They support cardiovascular health by improving cholesterol levels and blood pressure, and they have anti-inflammatory effects throughout the body. Today, cranberry has become a multi-billion-dollar industry. Cranberry juice, dried cranberries, and cranberry extract supplements are consumed worldwide. Many doctors now recommend cranberry products as a preventive measure for women with recurrent UTIs, validating what Native Americans knew centuries ago. What's fascinating is that the traditional use, consuming whole cranberries or cranberry tea, may actually be superior to highly sweetened cranberry juice cocktail. Modern cranberry juice often contains large amounts of added sugar, which can actually promote bacteria growth and inflammation. Native American preparations contained no added sugar and provided the full spectrum of beneficial compounds in the berry.
Known by its distinctive holly-like leaves, the Oregon grape has long been utilized.
Oregon grape, the antimicrobial powerhouse. In the Pacific Northwest, Native American tribes had access to a plant that modern research has shown contains one of the most powerful antimicrobial compounds found in nature. Oregon grape, with its distinctive holly-like leaves and bright yellow roots, was a cornerstone of indigenous medicine and has become increasingly important in our age of antibiotic-resistant bacteria. The indigenous peoples of the Pacific Coast, including the Kwakwaka'wakwa, Nuu-chah-nulth, and others, used Oregon grape root extensively. Like Goldenseal, Oregon grape contains high levels of berberine, but it was more abundant and easier to harvest, making it a more sustainable option. They would harvest the bright yellow roots, recognizing that the intense color indicated high concentrations of the active compounds. The root would be prepared as a tea for digestive problems, infections, and to boost overall immunity. For skin conditions like eczema, psoriasis, and fungal infections, they would make a strong decoction and apply it topically or make a salve by mixing the powdered root with bear grease or other fats. For eye infections, they would make a very dilute solution and use it as an eye wash. For sore throats and mouth infections, they would use it as a gargle. The versatility of Oregon grape made it one of the most valuable plants in the Pacific Northwest medicine kit. Modern research has confirmed what these tribes knew. Oregon grape is a powerful antimicrobial. The berberine it contains is effective against a wide range of bacteria, fungi, and parasites. Some studies have shown it can even fight bacteria that have become resistant to conventional antibiotics, making it increasingly important as antibiotic resistance becomes a global crisis. But Oregon grape's benefits go beyond fighting infections. Research has shown it can help with inflammatory skin conditions like psoriasis. It supports digestive health and can help with diarrhea and other digestive issues. It may help regulate blood sugar, and it supports liver function and detoxification. Today, Oregon grape is used in numerous herbal preparations, particularly for skin conditions and digestive health. Creams containing Oregon grape extract are popular for psoriasis and eczema. The root is available as capsules, tinctures, and teas for internal use. What makes Oregon grape particularly valuable today is its sustainability compared to Goldenseal. While Goldenseal is endangered due to overharvesting, Oregon grape is more abundant and faster growing. making it a more environmentally responsible choice while providing similar benefits.
Documenting these traditional wellness practices provides vital insight into the ethnobotany of the Devil's Club.
Devil's Club, the powerful protector. In the dense rainforests of the Pacific Northwest and Alaska, grows one of the most formidable plants in North America, Devil's Club, covered in sharp spines and considered by indigenous peoples to be both physically and spiritually powerful medicine. What modern science has discovered about this intimidating plant is remarkable. The Tlingit, Haida, and other northwestern tribes treated Devil's Club with great respect, both for its medicinal properties and its spiritual significance. They would carefully harvest the inner bark, avoiding the numerous sharp spines that give the plant its name. The bark would be dried and prepared as a medicine for various conditions. For diabetes and blood sugar problems, they would make a tea from the inner bark and drink it regularly. This traditional use is particularly fascinating because type 2 diabetes was rare among Native Americans before European contact, yet they somehow recognized that this plant affected blood sugar. Perhaps they noticed its effects on energy levels or other symptoms we now associate with blood sugar regulation. For arthritis and joint pain, they would make a strong decoction and drink it or apply it topically. For skin infections and wounds, they would use preparations of the bark topically. For respiratory infections, they would inhale steam from a hot decoction of the bark. Beyond physical medicine, Devil's Club held spiritual significance. It was used in purification ceremonies and for protection against evil spirits. Some tribes would hang pieces of Devil's Club over doorways or carry small pieces for protection. Modern scientific research has revealed why Devil's Club was so valued for diabetes. Studies have shown that compounds in Devil's Club can help regulate blood sugar levels, improve insulin sensitivity, and protect the pancreatic cells that produce insulin. Some research suggests it may be as effective as certain diabetes medications for some people. Additional research has found that Devil's Club has powerful anti-inflammatory properties. It contains compounds with potential anti-cancer effects. It has antimicrobial properties, and it may support immune function. Today, Devil's Club is available as capsules, tinctures, and teas, primarily marketed for blood sugar support and inflammation. It's particularly popular in Alaska and the Pacific Northwest, where it grows naturally and maintains cultural significance. What's most remarkable about Devil's Club is that indigenous peoples recognized its benefits for a condition, type 2 diabetes, that wasn't prevalent in their populations. This suggests they were testing plants broadly and observing subtle effects, demonstrating a sophisticated experimental approach to identifying medicinal plants.
Deep within the misty North American conifer forests thrives Usnea lichen, often called Old Man.
Usnea, the antibiotic lichen. Hanging from trees throughout North American forests grows an unusual organism that isn't quite a plant, Usnea, also known as old man's beard, a lichen that Native Americans recognized as a powerful antibiotic long before penicillin was discovered. Modern research has confirmed it contains compounds that can fight infections, including some antibiotic-resistant bacteria. Various tribes throughout North America, particularly in the Pacific Northwest and the Northeast, used Usnea for infections and wounds. They would harvest the lichen from trees, ensuring they took only what was needed and left plenty for regeneration. The lichen would be prepared in different ways depending on the use. For internal infections, particularly respiratory infections like pneumonia and bronchitis, they would make a tea or tincture from Usnea. For external wounds, cuts, and infections, they would either apply the lichen directly or make a powder that could be sprinkled on wounds. For infected wounds, they might make a poultice by soaking the lichen and applying it directly. The active compound in Usnea is usnic acid, a powerful antimicrobial agent. Modern research has shown that usnic acid is effective against gram-positive bacteria, the type that causes many common infections including staph and strep. It has antifungal properties, it may have antiviral effects, and it has anti-inflammatory properties. What's particularly exciting is that usnic acid has shown effectiveness against MRSA, methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus, a dangerous antibiotic-resistant bacteria that causes serious infections in hospitals and communities. As antibiotic resistance becomes an increasingly serious global health threat, natural antibiotics like usnic acid from Usnea become more valuable. Today, Usnea is available as tinctures, powders, and in topical preparations. Herbalists recommend it for respiratory infections, urinary tract infections, and infected wounds. Some natural first aid salves include Usnea for its antimicrobial properties. However, there's an important caution. Usnic acid has been associated with liver toxicity when taken in high doses or for extended periods, particularly in weight loss supplements that contained concentrated usnic acid. This highlights the importance of using herbs appropriately and not assuming that natural always means completely safe at any dose. Native American use of Usnea was generally for acute infections and external applications, not long-term internal use at high doses. Once again, traditional wisdom shows restraint and appropriate use, rather than the more is better approach that sometimes characterizes modern supplement use. The wisdom of preparation and dosage. One of the most important aspects of Native American herbal medicine, and one that's often overlooked in modern discussions, is that indigenous healers didn't just know which plants to use, but exactly how to prepare them, what dose to use, and when to use them. This knowledge was as important as knowing which plant to choose in the first place. Different plants required different preparation methods to be both safe and effective. Some plants, like Cascara bark, had to be aged for a year or more to reduce harsh compounds. Others, like Goldenseal, were more potent when used fresh. Some were prepared as cold infusions, others required boiling to extract the active compounds. Dosage was carefully controlled based on multiple factors: the person's age, size, and overall health, the severity of the condition being treated, the potency of the particular plant harvest, and whether it was being used for acute treatment or prevention. Native American healers understood that the same plant might be medicine at one dose and poison at a higher dose. They recognized that gentle herbs could be used long-term, while powerful herbs should be used only for acute conditions. They knew that combining certain plants could enhance their effects, while other combinations could be dangerous. This knowledge wasn't written in books, it was passed down through years of apprenticeship and experience. A medicine person might spend decades learning their craft, starting with basic plant identification and preparation as a child, then progressing to more complex remedies and treatments as they proved their understanding and skill. Modern herbalism is trying to recapture this wisdom, but something important has been lost. When we buy a standardized extract in a capsule, we're removed from the plant itself, from the knowledge of how the season affects its potency, from the understanding of how to adjust dosage based on individual needs. This doesn't mean we should reject modern herbal products. Standardization has its benefits, particularly for research and consistency. But it does mean we should approach herbal medicine with the respect it deserves, recognizing that these are powerful compounds that affect our bodies in significant ways. The Native American approach to herbal medicine was holistic. It considered not just the plant and the disease, but the whole person, their environment, their lifestyle, and their spiritual health. A medicine person might prescribe an herb, but also recommend changes in diet, rest, purification ceremonies, or reconciliation with others. They understood that healing required addressing the root causes of illness, not just suppressing symptoms. So what does all this mean for you today? Can you use these Native American remedies safely and effectively? The answer is yes, but with important cautions and understanding. First, many of these herbs are readily available as supplements, teas, and extracts. Products like Echinacea, black cohosh, cranberry, and feverfew are sold in pharmacies and health food stores worldwide. They've been extensively studied and are generally recognized as safe when used appropriately. However, natural doesn't automatically mean safe for everyone. Here are important guidelines. Consult healthcare providers. If you're taking prescription medications, are pregnant or nursing, have chronic health conditions, or are planning surgery, talk to your doctor before using herbal remedies. Many herbs interact with medications or can affect medical procedures. Start low and go slow. Begin with lower doses to see how your body responds. Just because something is natural doesn't mean you can't have an adverse reaction or allergy to it. Quality matters. Not all herbal products are created equal. Look for products that are third-party tested, preferably organic, and from reputable companies. The herbal supplement industry is less regulated than pharmaceuticals, so quality can vary significantly. Know the source. Wild harvesting of some herbs has led to endangerment of species like Goldenseal. Choose sustainably harvested or cultivated herbs when possible. Respect the power. These aren't just gentle teas, many contain compounds powerful enough to become pharmaceutical drugs. Use them with the respect they deserve. Watch for interactions. Herbs can interact with each other and with medications. For example, willow bark shouldn't be combined with blood thinners. Goldenseal can interfere with certain medications. Black cohosh may not be appropriate for people with certain hormone-sensitive conditions. Consider professional guidance. Working with a trained herbalist, naturopathic doctor, or integrative medicine practitioner can help you use herbs more safely and effectively than self-treatment alone. The beauty of these Native American remedies is that they've stood the test of time, thousands of years of human use. Modern science is now validating what indigenous peoples knew through careful observation and experience. But we must use this knowledge wisely, combining traditional wisdom with modern understanding of safety and interactions. Remember at the beginning when I promised to reveal a powerful Native American remedy that might be growing in your backyard. That plant is plantain, not the banana-like fruit, but the common weed that probably grows in your lawn right now. Native Americans used plantain leaves for everything from insect bites and stings to wounds and skin irritations. Modern research has confirmed it has anti-inflammatory, antimicrobial, and wound-healing properties. The next time you get a bee sting or mosquito bite, try crushing a fresh plantain leaf and applying it to the area. Many people report almost immediate relief from pain and itching. This perfectly represents Native American herbal wisdom. Powerful medicine doesn't have to be exotic or expensive. Sometimes it's literally growing beneath your feet if you just know how to recognize and use it. The journey of Native American herbal remedies into modern medicine is a story of ancient wisdom meeting scientific validation. From aspirin derived from willow bark to echinacea supplements in every pharmacy, from cranberry juice to black cohosh for menopause, indigenous knowledge has shaped modern healthcare in profound ways. But this story also reminds us of what we've lost. Native American healers didn't just know which plants to use, they understood the deep connection between humans and nature. They recognized that healing required addressing the whole person, not just symptoms, and they practiced sustainability, taking only what was needed and giving thanks for what nature provided. As we face modern health challenges, including antibiotic resistance, chronic diseases linked to lifestyle, and a healthcare system that often treats symptoms rather than root causes, perhaps we need the wisdom of Native American medicine more than ever. These remedies aren't just historical curiosities, they're practical tools that can improve your health today. But use them with the respect and wisdom that indigenous healers practiced, understanding that healing is a partnership between plants and people, between ancient knowledge and modern understanding. What other aspects of Native American wisdom would you like to explore? Ancient navigation techniques, traditional food preservation, sacred ceremonial practices. Drop your suggestions in the comments below. Your input shapes our future content. If you found this valuable, hit that like button and subscribe to Ancient Horizons. We're dedicated to bringing you the wisdom of ancient cultures that remains relevant and powerful today. Don't forget to click the bell icon so you never miss our journey into the past to discover tools for the present. Thank you for watching, and remember, the best medicine often comes not from a laboratory, but from the earth beneath our feet and the wisdom of those who learn to listen to it. Until next time, stay curious and stay connected to the ancient horizons that still guide us today.